Hi everyone and welcome to Club 3 episode 24 of... which one am I doing? Sweetheart? Which series am I recording today? Thank you. Hi everyone and welcome to Club 3 episode 24 of Rolling in the Isles, an FM20 British Isles Journeyman series with me, the United City FM. Things are going very, very well. Not all the results are going our way necessarily in the Premier League so far. You can see that we've had a little bit of a barren patch, but look at the teams that we had to play in that period. We played Liverpool and lost. We played Man United and drew 0-0, which was a great result. Arsenal then came and beat us 2-0, which I was kind of expecting. I think they sit top of the table currently. Then we had a disappointing game against Bournemouth where seemingly that little run of form just was still in our system a little bit, and we lost 1-0 to Bournemouth but picked up a decent result against Aston Villa. And today we played Tottenham, so the big games keep going. But ultimately, at this stage of the season, when we've played 10 games, we are sitting in the middle of the table in 10th position, which is extraordinary considering both the two clubs that we came up with last season, Southampton and Watford from the Championship, are both sitting in the relegation zone, and in theory that's where we were thought to be sitting as well. Now obviously we can still drop in that direction if we continue to drop points here and there, and we've still got some very big and hard games to play, but overall things are going very, very well. You can see that Ida is our top goal scorer, only with 3 goals. We're not being too prolific in terms of our scoring, and we are conceding a few too many in comparison to what I'd like. But in general terms, things, as I say, are going very nicely. Financially speaking, you can see that we made a bit of a loss through transfers and other bits and pieces in the last little while, but the overall balance of the club remains good, and we've still got a little bit of movement in the finances to play around if we wanted to do something in the January window, but that's not for a couple of months yet, so we'll talk about that another day. But in general terms, everybody's doing pretty well. Fausto Vera, our creative midfielder, has had a little bit of a knock for the last couple of weeks. He's been out of action, so he's only on the bench today. And you can see that we've got a slight change in our formation. That's not always the case. If I press one of the other options here, you can see we revert back up to our asymmetric formation when we're playing some of the middling teams in the division. But for those harder games to play, we're playing a counter-attacking system with quite a deep midfield and only one up top, hoping to support him on the counter-attack. It's what got us our 0-0 draw against United. We did come unstuck against Arsenal, but as I say, they're top of the league, so you kind of expect it. But I think this is a worthwhile tactic to have in our set of 3 whilst we're just getting our bearings in the Premier League. The other thing that I was going to ask you about is, so if this is my first tactic when I'm playing the big boys and this is our everyday tactic, what should we put in the third slot? Give me some suggestions in the comments below. Formation, style of play, all that kind of stuff. Let me know what you think. I'd like to train a third tactic just to have one available if we need it. So options are open, so let me know what you think. So in terms of today's team for the Tottenham match, let's just go and check in with the competition page again and find them in 4th, Tottenham. So tricky game. But in terms of today's team for it, you can see that we're playing our counter-attacking formation, our more defensive one. And Vera is out because of his knock onto the bench. So what I've done is I've put Joku and May, who normally play that holding role in rotation. I put both of them in today into those holding roles just to maintain a bit of discipline in midfield. So the team for today is Bazunu in goal, with Guilbert at right back and Target at left back, with Story and Harwood Bellis in central defence, with Joku, May and Martinez in central midfield, Knoll on the right, Lokudoku on the left and Ida up top, with a bench of Portus, Cooper, Vera, Crowley, McCowan, Murray and Audrin. So let's get into today's game and see what happens. So our assistant has just encouraged the players to do this one for the fans, to perform well for them. In terms of Tottenham, they've still got the likes of Harry Kane up top, a few years in, obviously, to this save, but most of their other bigger stars have gone. There's still the likes of Ndembele and the like in there as well. There is still a very good team, but it's not quite the Tottenham side that you would remember when you first load up the game. So whether we stand a chance today or not, we'll find out as the game progresses. But the first chance for us, Lokudoku gets caught out on the edge of the box and they clear it. Story picks it up in defence and goes back down the right-hand side to Noel, who runs at his fullback very nicely, cuts it back into Joku. Keep the ball nicely. It was good, some good possession play there. Martinez again onto Noel into the box, has a shot at goal, and it drags it slightly wide of that far post. A decent movement around the ball though, around that penalty box. A free kick for us into the far post for Ida, who puts the ball over the top of the crossbar with his header, and we're putting on some pressure, which is really good. You can see so far we've had 7 shots to their 2. Haven't had quite as much of the possession, but we are playing the counter-attacking system. But so far we're soaking up enough of the problems that Tottenham bring to us and being able to counter-attack, which is very, very nice to see. It doesn't mean that we won't or can't get caught out by them at some point, but so far, leading up to the very end of the first half, quick first half again, not so many highlights, but it was very, very encouraging. We are not getting absolutely dominated like we did in the last episode against Liverpool with many of these teams that we're now coming up against. Having changed the formation and the structure a little bit when we play some of these big boys, that's what I wanted to do with the Liverpool match, was just find where we're at in terms of playing those types of teams. And what I discovered is that at the moment we have to be a bit more savvy. We can't necessarily just open the game up and compete with them, so we have to do something different, and that's why we're going slightly more defensive and structured on the counter-attack. But it's worked in this first half. 0-0 currently. You can see that all the average ratings are just that, they're kind of average. There's nobody performing particularly well, but health-wise we're doing okay, so we'll encourage them. Calmly we'll say, I'm happy with how things are, keep it going, and then just send them back out again to try and continue to work as hard as they have. Now Tottenham are going to come back out and be quite motivated, you would imagine. So I'm just going to go into the shouts and I'm going to suggest to them, get creative. Why not? It often works in a lot of situations. You can see that mostly that inspired them. Bit of pressure for one of them there, but mostly it did. And let's just see if we can continue to hold our own, keep our shape, keep our discipline, and keep Tottenham out. And this is the first chance for us to see whether it works. As Tottenham come through the centre of midfield with us, they've had to go all the way back to their defence to rebuild again, but they've done that. It brings us out of our shape a little bit if we're not careful. And it opens up the space for them. But so far, we are keeping that structure. Look at those 2 banks of 4 with Martinez at the top of them, just challenging that ball. But a very, very good hit from the edge of the box from a very wide cross. And it goes over the top, having been parried by the keeper. Good save by him, but it was a very good attempt on that edge of the penalty area. What happened there? Good. Okay, Tottenham handballed it in our area, so it was our free kick. For a second I thought we might have given away a silly penalty again, and there have been moments where we have continued to cause our own downfall a little bit, but also moments where we've shown quality. Martinez, for example, in the Villa game, I think it was, got a brilliant free kick goal for a 1-0 win in that particular match. Anyway, you can see that Lokudoku was struggling a little bit there, so we brought Murray on for him. We've got several other sort of 6.5, 6.4s. May is struggling in that role in central midfield, so we are going to bring Vera in to just play the last 20 minutes of the game, even though he's just coming back from that little bit of a knock. Defensively, I don't think we've done too badly. It's famous last words. I know it is. We'll come out and they'll cause us a problem now, but I don't want to change anything there particularly. So it's either Noel or Ida to come out, and we're going to go for Noel just because that's slightly lower rating for him. And it's Tottenham on a free kick, and the highlight goes, so it wasn't obviously a good enough free kick to show, but they've turned the pressure around a little bit. So we are going to drop into a slightly more defensive position just for the last 5 minutes of the game, just to see if we can see this out and get another valuable point if we can. But at 89 minutes it comes back for another highlight for Tottenham. Are they going to sucker punch us at the end of this particular match? Let's hope not. But the cross comes in to the near post, and it was a very good save by Bazunu, who pushes it again wide, but again for a corner kick, so the pressure mounts on us a little bit. Corner comes into the far post, half cleared. but Tottenham pick it up just outside the penalty box and get to restructure another attack at us, but we're pushing them out, which is very good to see. Nice defensive work, and has that seen us through to the end of the game? It has. Another 0-0 draw against one of the big six, and the big six did all finish in those top six positions last season, so they are still up to standard. And as with the United game a couple of games ago, we then get a very good, credible 0-0 draw against a very good Tottenham side. So passionately, we're going to say everybody thought we would get beaten today. Well done for proving them wrong. Good result. That's encouraged and delighted the players, which is fantastic to see. And we'll just go back into the Premier League table and see what that's done for us as we come out of the match day scenario. So into the competitions page, and let's just click on the Premier League. You can see we've moved up a spot. Wolves are sitting just behind us with the game in hand, so that could still change for us, but we are sitting in 9th place quite happily on 16 points, considering that Southampton are right down the bottom, who beat us last season to the Championship, if you remember, and they're on 3 points. The start we've made has been absolutely spectacular. And you can see all of those big boys do hold all the positions with Leicester just behind them. So it's not like any of them have dropped off. So we've done pretty well, I would say. We got beaten comfortably by Liverpool. Absolutely, they did destroy us 4-0 really. But since then, having changed the tactics around a little bit for those bigger matches, 2 draws against Man United and Tottenham, and a disappointing but inevitable loss against top of the table Arsenal has been very, very good. So now we have to cement that a little bit by getting some of the slightly lesser teams and actually taking the points from them. So what have we got coming up? Well, the first game next is Southampton, as I say, that rival from last season. Then a very tricky couple of games against Man City and Wolves. But then after that, we've got Newcastle, Burnley, Palace, Everton before we play Chelsea. So there's some winnable stuff here, or at least some opportunities to get some points. So the game that we're going to come back and play is the one against Burnley. We're going to go through Southampton, Man City, Wolves, and Newcastle off the episode. We'll come back and play Burnley at home in the Premier League and see if we can continue to pick up some valuable points. But so far, it's really been very, very good and far beyond the expectations of what I was imagining this particular season would be. The board, from their point of view, asked me to fight bravely against relegation, and so far so good. I suspect we're going to get a lot better than that as things speak, but we can't go too overboard because, you know, if we go on a run of poor results, anything can still happen. But yeah, all good at the moment. Join me for the next match against Burnley in the next episode. We'll see what happens there. In between time, I'll play a few more games and see if we can pick up a few of those valuable points and keep up our good run at the start of this season. Thanks for joining me today, though. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Click that like button on the video if you haven't. That'll help me get seen by lots of other people. Until next time, take care of yourselves. I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.